So we finally have some news on the updated 2024 Hyundai Sonata. So in this video, I just want to show you around the current generation Sonata, take a look at the new photos that Hyundai has released with more information coming soon in the next week or so, and just show you what's kind of changing on this next generation, or I should say refresh 2024 Hyundai Sonata. So if you guys are signed up to receive notifications on the press releases from Hyundai on the Hyundai News website, then you might have just been sitting at home on Sunday evening and got an email that said, hey, here's a look at the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata exterior as well as interior design. I know that's how it went with me. I was not expecting this news whatsoever, but it is a welcome sight to see, and that Hyundai is keeping to the word of staying committed to sedans, at least for the short term. We'll have to see what the long term brings, but it's nice to see that there is an updated 2024 Sonata just around the corner. So here in front of me, I have the 2023 Hyundai Sonata SEL, which is the current generation that's been around since the 2020 model year. And this refresh is not an all new generation. It's still based upon the DN8 platform or chassis code that this car is based upon, but it is getting a fairly heavy refresh, both on the exterior as well as the interior. And I'll show you what I can kind of distinguish from the pictures that Hyundai released here walking around this particular vehicle. So starting up front of this next generation Sonata, you can see that there's many changes at the front end. This includes an entire new front end with new bumper, new headlight designs, I believe even new front fenders, as well as a new hood design, given that the daytime running lights that kind of blend into the side of the vehicle are no more, so that feature is going away. But there is a very aggressive front end, even on the lower trim levels it appears like. And I have to say, this particular current generation was fairly aggressive at the time. And I think this next version that Hyundai is going to release for this refresh does look very nice. And you can see it does incorporate the unibrow look to it, or the daytime running light that spans across the entire width of the vehicle that we will be seeing on the next Kona as well. So I would not be surprised if this daytime running light does expand into other Hyundai models, as we've already seen it on 2 upcoming versions. Now coming around to the side of the vehicle, you can see a lot of the key styling elements are based upon the current car. So it does appear that either the door panels are going to be the same or very close to the current generation with just some minor refreshes. The mirrors are mounted in the same location. The side skirts are going to be revised, but overall the same body structure as this current car in front of us. Now making our way out back, once again, you'll see that the quarter panels are going to have the same exterior line that runs across into the taillights, except the taillights are going to have a heavy refresh along with the rear bumper that is going to be all new. And I believe the deck lid itself is either going to be all new or heavily refreshed with some new LED lights that span across the entire width of the vehicle, just like that of the front. The exhaust tips, of course, are going to be the same location, just revised. And the overall rear end is going to be very similar to this current generation with just new exterior styling elements. Now, I have looked at a few articles and some comments on those articles of people's opinions on this refresh of the Sonata, and I have to say it is overall very positive. Typically when refreshes come around, I wouldn't say they're necessarily that much better than the current generation. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're a little bit worse in my opinion. It just varies by the manufacturer and the overall styling. But I have to say the comments are overall very positive for this refresh of the Sonata, so that is very nice to see. But some of the changes I am most excited about is here on the inside. So let's go ahead and jump inside this Sonata, see what the current design looks like, and see what some of the changes are that are coming in terms of the dashboard and steering wheel and stuff like that. So I have a picture pulled up on my phone of the new exterior design. Of course, I'll overlay this on the screen for you guys to view. But a lot of the changes occur here on the dashboard as well as the steering wheel itself. The door panels and some of the other elements are very similar to that of the current generation, just with a slight refresh. And this being a lower trim level, doesn't have all the features and options of that of the top limited. But overall, a lot of the changes are going to take place here across the front dashboard as well as the center console. Now, of course, the vehicle that they're showing off is a Korean spec, which typically has more features and options than that is available here in North America. But one of the biggest things right off the bat is the digital gauge cluster as well as the infotainment system. These are both 12.3-inch screens connected together under one display, or one glass rather. On the left of the gauge cluster, you can see a little dot, which is actually a fingerprint reader. They have had a fingerprint reader in some Genesis vehicles here in North America. I think the GV70 was the first to display this technology. But I believe this enables you to kind of start and control some of the aspects of the vehicle with just the touch of your fingerprint. You can see the vent layout is in the overall same location to the left of the steering wheel, as is some of the hard physical controls down near the driver's side knee. So none of that is really changing in that aspect. You'll see a brand new steering wheel design similar to that of other upcoming Hyundai models. It does not feature the Hyundai logo on the airbag, which is a little bit unique, and is a 3-spoke design rather than the 4-spoke design in the current generation Sonata in front of us. Now, one of the things that I find interesting on the steering wheel itself is that Hyundai seems to be transitioning their driver assistance technologies here on the right side, moving it over to the left side, and then moving all of their audio controls here on the right side. Now, I guess it's just personal preference, but to me, I would rather have your cruise control here on the right rather than the left-hand side, but it is something you'd probably get used to over time. But I'm used to controlling my audio and multimedia here on the left, cruise control on the right, but Hyundai seems to be swapping this, and Kia has seemed to swap this over many of their vehicles as well. But you can see from the cutout without the B-pillar, the sunroof is still here in its oversized fashion, the panoramic type. The seats and the power adjustments look very similar to that of the current generation. Moving across the dashboard though, in terms of the start button, as well as the climate controls, again, these look to be in a very similar location of that of the current generation. They are just going to be heavily revised. So you still have the dual climate control knobs like seen in the vehicle that we're currently in, but between the knobs you have a digital touch type display which controls a lot of the functionality that you can see here. It has hard physical buttons. So to me, the spacing looks very identical. They're just going to cut out, put a digital touch type screen here to control your heated, ventilated seats, all of your air conditioning controls, stuff like that. It looks like they do have dedicated shortcut buttons here in the images. So that is a little bit better than that of, say, something like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which has a shortcut button, but then you have to move up to the infotainment screen just to select your heated seats, heated steering wheel, stuff like that. And then above those climate controls, you can see dedicated volume and tune knobs with all of your radio multimedia controls. So nice to see that these shortcuts are going to be placed in this vicinity of the infotainment screen. Obviously, you can see they are around the screen on the present 10.25-inch system. But overall, nice to see more dedicated hard touch buttons for the multimedia. Below that, you can see USB Type-C charge ports and data ports. So that is rolling out across many new Hyundai models as well. And finally, moving on to the center console, this is the last big change here in this next generation, or I should say refresh Sonata. So Hyundai is getting rid of the push button gear selection that you can see in this car and moving it onto the column stock in terms of the Ioniq 5 type shifter. So this is going to be an electronic shifter still, much like this of the push button gear selection, but essentially they're going to be freeing up the space in the center console by moving it here to the column, and this allows you to put more controls, have more room for cup holders and other storage items than that of this current generation. And this is something, again, that they've been rolling out across all their new models. So you can see in this refresh Sonata, most of this area is going to be turned into a large storage cubby. The wireless charging pad is likely going to be in that vicinity. It might be in the vertical slot right next to it. You can see some controls for the parking camera, parking sensors, the automatic hold, and other smart functionality in that location. And they have extended the driver armrest. You can see here in this current car, it is fairly long as it is, but they have extended it forward for the driver's side for a more ergonomic fit, so you can rest your hand and palm on the edge of the armrest and stay comfortable while you're driving. I think this is a great addition to the Sonata, and one that should improve the overall comfort in the front of the vehicle quite a bit. But outside of that, the dash design on the passenger side of the vehicle is going to be revised just a little bit, but it still meets up on the door panel in the same location or thereabout. And you still have the long single armrest present along with the ambient lighting up top. Of course, this car doesn't have the ambient lighting, but the speaker locations are going to be identical on the door panels. The rear view mirror looks to be very close to that of the Limited that is currently available. Now, once we get up to the sunroof controls and ambient lighting on the interior, all that looks to be revised or very similar to that of what is currently available on the top trim Sonatas. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video on the 2024 Hyundai Sonata. I just want to bring you this news and update because this was just kind of out of the blue to me. I wasn't expecting this. I knew a refresh was likely coming given we've seen some spy images of a refresh Sonata running around. Hyundai said this will make a global debut on March 30th at the Seoul Mobility Show. So I'm assuming, given the rollout of this vehicle seems fairly quick, that they are ready to make this into production. That we should start seeing this vehicle later this calendar year as a 2024 model year vehicle. And as we know, the Sonata used to be produced here in the United States for the North American market, but they moved production, I believe, overseas, at least in this current generation. I don't know if there's any plans to move the Sonata back to Montgomery, Alabama, where it used to be produced for this market, for this refresh, or if they're just going to keep producing it overseas and then shipping it, importing it here into the United States. They do make a lot of other vehicles here already as it is, so it might be a production issue, or they might just be planning to phase this vehicle out in the next few years and they'll just import it for the time being. But who knows? Leave your comments down in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are not already subscribed, and check out some other content I have here on the channel, including an exclusive first look of the 2024 Hyundai Kona in its US spec SPIED testing. So a very exciting 2023 calendar is planned out. Hopefully you guys will stick along. And as always, I appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.